Dr. Karen Can, and I've been doing some videos lately on Facebook to share some of the expertise that I have around being healthier. And because of this whole coronavirus pandemic, a lot of people are at home and a lot of people are feeling fear and anxiety and overwhelm. So today I thought in this series that I'm doing called the Coronavirus Pandemic, How to Stay Happy, Healthy, and Harmonious, today I'm going to actually share with you 4 ways that you can feel better around those symptoms of that stress, that fear, anxiety, and that overwhelm. So 4 ways you can eliminate them without having to turn to the beer corona or or alcohol or medications and things like that. And hey Tanya, hey Glo, hey Catherine. So now, being a medical doctor, I have had my fair share of writing prescriptions for people for various different mood issues like depression and anxiety. And what we are doing and what we used to do, we as in like medical doctors, is that some of basically there's 2 main types. Now, those of you that are medical field maybe be a little pickier, but I'm just going to simplify it. 2 main types of medications that we use in general in Western medicine to help people with the symptoms of anxiety. So what's anxiety? Well, anxiety is that feeling of you're on edge. Like your physical body, you feel like your heart may be beating faster, or you're kind of flushing, and the overwhelming mood or feeling that something bad is gonna happen. It's called like a pervasive feeling of dread. And the times where I've actually had real like clinical type anxiety, it was intense. Like people have panic attacks, and that's even worse. And I'm not even sure I really had one of those. Because in panic attack, you suddenly just go into a massive adrenaline rush, and your heart's beating fast. Your mouth is dry. It's like you're gonna give like a speech to the president, and you didn't prepare. Just intense anxiety. So that's kind of like a peak. So for most other types of anxiety, it's this more like this pervasive feeling of just dread, and just like feeling shaky, feeling bad about that, like these fear. And it doesn't have to be big fear, it can be a small fear, but it just is pervasive over and over and over again. So in Western medicine, the original anxiolytics, so lytics meaning to lyse means to cut or separate or destroy in this case. So anxiousness destroyed is anxiolytic, so anxiety lytic. And the anxiety medications that were classically used and still are to some degree are the sedative hypnotics. That is the group of medications used, and the most famous of which people, unless you're very young, do know the name of, and it's Valium. So Valium was called Mother's Little Helper because back in the day, now this could be 40s and 50s, I can't remember exactly, it was a very common prescription that doctors, generally male doctors, because there weren't that many female doctors back then, would give to housewives to help them calm down and to stop feeling so stressed. So it was a very common prescription. They thought it was a miracle drug. These women were like, woo, I'm good. Well, the only problem is that they discovered years later that it was highly addictive. And they're like, oh, shoot, what do we do? So they invented, the pharmaceutical industry invented a whole bunch of other drugs. So other sedative hypnotics. So you may know some of these names. So, for example, clonazepam or Klonopin is fairly regularly used. Lorazepam or Ativan is same is the drug name, generic name, is very commonly used. And alprazolam, oxazepam, you can see they have the PAM. So Valium is the original drug name, and then diazepam is the actual generic name for that, because now it's so old, it's anybody can make it. It can be made generically by any drug company. So, and it's cheap. So the reason they still made these anxiolytics was because they're trying to figure out a way to get the same effect as Valium, but maybe less addictive and maybe not as long. Because Valium, if you take a Valium, you're like kind of like, bleh, for it could be up to like 24 hours. Like you're really out of it and sleepy and tired and, all sorts of stuff, and probably not very productive. And the PAMs, the various PAMs have different half-lives, meaning that there's a certain amount of hours before half of the medication is metabolized out of your system. So one of the shorter ones is Xanax. Okay, so that's the alprazolam Xanax, if I remember that correctly. So Xanax is super, super fast acting, but also it's a fast half-life, which means that it comes and it goes much faster. So you think, oh, that sounds great, right? Except that people kind of get a high and then a low. And so with people with the chronic anxiety all day long, that might not work. And they found out that these are even more addictive for some people because of their short acting. So the next along the line of the Ativan, so it's a little bit long acting, stays a little bit longer in the body, but all of them have that potential of addiction. And in fact, one of my former patients had a liver damage after having been on these for years for sleep. Now, here's the thing. Most people go, oh, it's a medication. If it wasn't safe, it wouldn't be on the market, yada, 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 right? Well, here's the thing. In order to make it past the FDA and to be able to sell it as a medication, the drug companies have to show 1-2 studies that it works for the purposes that it works. Now, most people don't know this, but these drugs have not been tested for long-term use. Let me repeat that. These drugs have not been tested to be safe, let me be more specific, to be safe and efficacious for long-term use. So most of these studies, spanning multiple decades, are, a matter of weeks or months for most of them. And the newer kids on the block, they're kind of old now because I'm getting older, chronologically, not biologically. Ha ha ha. So, so the newer kids on the block are the serotonin, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, so SSRIs. So you might know these names. Prozac was the first one, and that's the most long-acting. In fact, the benefits of Prozac, if you're going to take one of these SSRIs, is because it's so long-acting, you don't have to wean off of it as much as you do some of the other ones. So the ones that are faster-acting, shorter half-life, so Zoloft, Paxil, Levapro. Haven't prescribed these in a while. So I was gonna say Levaquin, but that's an antibiotic. So there's other categories as well that are not, but they're not as popular. So I'm not going to review Wellbutrin and trazodone and some of those things that have they don't not used as commonly. But the anxiolytics, the original anxiolytics, are very sleep inducing and immediately work, right? So people with panic attacks, they take an alprazolam, they take a Xanax, Ativan, boom, they go out of that. Doesn't last, but it helps in that moment. Downside, highly addictive. So, and hard on the liver. So the other ones, SSRIs, what they do is they help you, if this is a nerve cell and this is a nerve cell, one of the parts of the cells has receptors for the serotonin, and supposedly what happens is that, this cell releases the serotonin sticks on some receptors. I'll put my thumb here as a receptor in here, right, sticks on there, and then it does its action. Serotonin, they call it the happy neurotransmitter, right? So the thing is as you take the medication, what happens is instead of these receptors holding on to it and then getting disintegrated over time, the receptors the medication prevents the receptors from being reuptook. Yeah. They don't get reuptaked, whatever the... Anyway, so they hang out longer. Okay, so all these receptors hang out longer, and so what happens is that the serotonin... sorry, I'm not saying this right. Sorry. Cancel. Okay, so the serotonin hangs out longer. Okay, let's put it this way. The serotonin does not get destroyed as quickly, so it hangs out longer in the nervous system gap. So the receptor, which I was going to say next, wow, little, have not prescribed these in a while. So the receptors, what happens is the receptors kind of see all the serotonin in this gap and go, wow, there's a lot of serotonin around, not thinking, well, it's a drug that's causing that, right? So eventually the receptors go, oh, we don't need so many of us, Hey, Joe, you go home. Receptor Joe, you go home. We don't need you. But there's tons of serotonin here. So what happens is people get used to the drug. It's not a psychological use. It's a what they call tachyphylaxis. Like a body adapts and adjusts to all that serotonin it's seeing suddenly. And there are some risks, certainly in young people. These serotonin SSRI medications cause an increased risk of suicide and homicide. And in fact, a lot of the so-called, mass shootings, things like that, have these drugs the kids have these drugs on board, and they don't obviously publicize this because who pays the media bills, right? The drug companies. So they don't publicize it, but Kelly Brogan has talked a lot about it in her books and her blogs, and she's a wonderful psychiatrist in New York City who has really, brought it to light to the general public about some of these problems with the drugs. So then they're like, okay, so it can cause liver damage. We can get, it can cause suicidal, homicidal tendencies. We can get it addicted to these drugs. And guess what? When you try to get off the SSRIs, be careful. Do not stop these without a doctor, okay? Because you can get massive withdrawal symptoms. And it's worse. It's worse than the depression and anxiety or whatever you're taking it for. My mom has gone through it. It is not a pretty sight. It is scary. So you do need to wean off it very, 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 very slowly, and with a doctor, prescribing smaller and smaller doses, with the exception of Prozac, which some people can get off if they haven't been on it a long time, because your body's adapted to different levels, right? It's changed. So if you are not doing something instead and you've been taking the drug, you can't expect your body to, you have no drug, and then what's your body going to do, right? It has not done anything different. Whereas if you use, say, for example, if you go to Kelly Brogan, you read her books and you go, wow, I'm going to do the Vital Mind Reset program, and I'm going to change my diet, and I'm going to do this, and this, and this, and meditate, and then your body starts changing its chemistry, and in that way, long term, then you won't really need the medication. Now, I do energy healing, so the way I do it with Topican Healing is we can actually test things. We can actually test how happy, is your serotonin levels, how happy is your GABA levels, how happy is your norepinephrine levels, how happy is your cortisol production, and get numbers for all these things and tweak it energetically. And I was just watching Bruce Lipton in that wonderful series on Gaia called Inner Evolution, where he talks about how energy, when your cell is presented with an energetic signal, on the quantum level, it's actually much more powerful. Light, for example, is much more powerful than a biologically chemical signal. So light is more faster, more profound, more efficient way to activate your cells and tell them what to do versus a drug or a chemical thing. And that includes supplements to some degree. So what I'm saying is that if you're on the medications, don't stop it suddenly just because of all the stuff I'm saying, okay? Just check in with your doctor or your healthcare provider, and you need to do some research. You need to learn how to produce these brain chemicals, if you will, on your own. You need to eat really good food. I would have to say that the likelihood, if somebody has like chronic anxiety, I'm not talking about just anxiety from coronavirus, okay? If you have chronic anxiety issues or chronic, mood issues and you're on medication, it's really important for you to eat really well, and it's not a great idea to be vegan in that space. Now, if you're doing really well, you're balanced body, mind, and soul, you're physically healthy, you're mentally healthy, you're not craving sugar, right? And you want to be vegan or vegetarian, awesome. However, what we found out, lots of research in different people, is that in order for you to make some of these chemicals for your brain, Some of these building blocks do not come easily in plant food. And honestly, I know spirulina has so many grams of protein per whatever, better than meat, but I am not taking in half a cup of spirulina. Okay. I'm just not. Okay. It's like, blah. Okay. So for me right now, I mean, I'm kind of a wannabe vegetarian, but right now, if I eat, a piece of steak or whatever chicken, that's going to give me more protein, more building blocks for those, brain chemicals and things like that. Okay. So, now, but of course, I respect and honor all my vegan friends and students and things like that. I just say, just make sure that you are doing well. Make sure that you're not stressed, because when you're stressed, you need to make more of some of these hormones like cortisol, and you need to have the building blocks, cholesterol makes cortisol, etc. And work with a nutritionist who knows how to help you become or be a healthy vegan, right? To replete the certain amino acids you might be a little low in, or, your B12 or whatever it is. I digress. Anyway, so what can you do when you have anxiety symptom, and what can you do quickly to help with that symptom? Okay, so we're going from, okay, if you have long-term anxiety, if you have short-term anxiety, there's a drug option, that's the conventional medicine option. Then we have the long-term, more naturopathic option, functional medicine option. You got to change your diet, right? I love bone broth. Add that in too, right? But what I'm going to tell you now is, what are you going to do in the short term to help with some of the symptoms? Now, if it's specific to what's going on in the world right now, coronavirus, a pandemic, people are afraid, one of the fastest, easiest, cheapest things that you can do is something called tapping. Or it's also called acupressure tapping. It's also called emotional freedom technique. And what that is tapping on certain body points to basically, it releases that excess anxiety energy. Now you can do it for feeling down. You can do it for, feeling angry, sad, whatever it is you're feeling, you can do it for that. Today we're talking about anxiety. So how do you do it? Well, there's many different ways of doing it, but the idea is that energy needs to move. When energy is trapped, it feels uncomfortable. So if you are feeling anxiety, like, whoa, like your heart's beating quickly and you're flushing and, that kind of thing, then one of the things you can do to dissipate some of that extra energy is to do tapping on your meridians. Now, the easiest one you can do is just tapping on the heart. So just try it now. So let's take a couple of fingers. Hey, Marianne. Sorry, I'm not saying hi to everybody when I can't lose my train of thought when I do that. But I did see your name. So tapping on your heart area. And sometimes people think that's like the fastest, simplest way. So the idea is you don't have to try to push the anxiety away. What you actually want to do is go into it. I know that's scary, but you go into that feeling and then you tap, 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 tap. Now, if you want to do traditional EFT, what you would do is you would tap this karate chop point right here, okay, with your other hand, or tapping like this with your fingertips. It's easier just to do this. And you would start that way. In classical EFT, you would actually say things out loud like, even though I'm feeling anxious right now, I completely and deeply love and respect myself. Or, you can use a couple of different terms, but you can say, love and honor myself, love and respect myself, and you would just say this 3 times here. The same thing, even though I'm feeling anxious, I completely love and accept myself. Even though I'm feeling anxious right now, I completely love and accept myself. So you do that 3 times, and then you would tap on some acupuncture points. So most of the time it goes in this order. You would tap inside eyebrow, and you would say anxiety, and you would just feel that in your body. So anxiety, side of the head, below the cheek, anxiety. This is in my Guide to Healing Chronic Pain book, by the way. Anxiety, so right here, these are acupuncture points. Anxiety, and let me show you. So this is the collarbone here, so it's just below. Oh, that's nice. That's a good spot. I just did like push-ups yesterday. Anyway, so here's your sternal notch and your collarbone. So just below, right in there. So find a sore spot. Tap in there. You say this anxiety. And then there's a sore spot underneath your armpit here, about 4 finger widths down, the spleen 21, and you tap the heck out of that one. You go anxiety. This looks really funny if you have big boobs. which I don't. But you can skip that one if you don't want to do that, especially in public. It might be very embarrassing. And so instead of that, you can do this one, or you can do this in addition, is the top of the head. So I love this one. It's the happy point, the bliss point, this anxiety. And you would do like 3 rounds of this, right? So inside eyebrow, outside eye, under the cheek, nose, chin, collarbone, boob jiggling point, top of the head. Okay. And then you would kind of reevaluate how you feel. Now, a lot of people, it just like takes the zip out of that anxiety and makes you feel better a lot, like really, really, really fast. Now, if you wanted to kind of turbocharge the efficiency of tapping, what you would do is actually you would go into stillness first. Now, you're like, oh, how do I get still if I'm anxious? Well, I have a technique. It's called stillness through observing internal movement. And what that is you're going to actually pay attention to the inside of your body and what that feels like. Now, when you're anxious and things are like, you know, you're going to actually feel a lot. Because I remember one time I drank, what was it? I didn't want to drink sugar at some skating party. So this was years ago. So I decided, because they didn't have water. Can you believe that? So I was thirsty. So I decided to drink, what was it? Diet Pepsi? It was awful. Anyways, Diet Pepsi. So I drank like this little, you know, I don't know, 4 ounces of Diet Pepsi, and then I couldn't stand it anymore. Well, that night, I could not sleep. I was awake in bed, and I was like, I could feel this going through my body. And I'm like, I didn't have sugar. What's going on? And I'm like, oh, Diet Pepsi has caffeine in it. Shoot, I forgot. Right? And I felt like I was like pulsing. The whole bed was shaking. It was like intense. Right? So if we feel that degree of anxiety, because it's the same feeling, just go internally and feel that pulsing. Okay? So as you feel the pulsing, then you tap. Tap, tap, tap. Feel the pulsing. Feel the pulsing. Feel it, feel it, feel it. Like just, you know, bring it up on purpose. And you just keep tapping 3 to 5 times. Well, actually more like 5 to 8 times ideally. Collarbone. You can do this one if you want. You can do the other side. Even yourself out. You know, even the boob jiggling, you know. You know, and just, you know, you can do the other side of your face, right? And you just do this a couple of times. And usually the intensity goes down fairly precipitously. So you might be a 10 out of 10, then it goes to 7, and then you do another round, then it goes to 5, and you do another round, it goes to 3. So super easy, and it's free. And you can find this online for free if you want the instructions. Just go to EFTuniverse.com, and that link is also in my book. If you happen to have my book, I actually have the pictures in the book and stuff. So that's my Guide to Healing Chronic Pain book. Okay, so you've got tapping, you've got stillness through observing internal movement and tapping. Now you can just do stillness for sure. That also helps as well. But the tapping just makes it a lot faster, especially for anxiety, because it's like movement of energy, right? You want to get that out. You want to dissipate it, disperse it. So what are the other 2 things? I talked about 4 things. So we've got tapping, we've got stillum or stillness through observing internal movement. And then we've got a super easy one. It's called my clearing and protection spray formula. Yes. So what is this? Well, it is a formula that I created years ago to help people clear negative, non-beneficial energies from around them. Because we are surrounded by all sorts of energies, including electromagnetic frequencies. You might walk into a hospital. Oh my gosh, before I understood some of this stuff, I would walk into a hospital and I would feel sick after a few minutes. Like this is of course after I got sick, fibromyalgia got better, you know, and then my super sensitivity, my superpowers really activated. So I couldn't stay there very long without feeling bad. I had a migraine one time. It was so awful. And I was like, what is going on? Then I realized that I was feeling the energy of what was in the hospital, including the death, including the anxiety, including people's fear, including, you know, whatever, right? Whatever the nurses were going through, the doctors were going through. So all this energy I was feeling. So what happens is our auric field can kind of get dirty. And it's just normal everyday stuff. Even if you are like the best energy healer in the world, we don't pay attention to that stillness like 99% of the time. So if we're lucky and we get the magic number of 9 to 10% of our waking time, awesome. Oftentimes this auric field is auto clearing. However, for the rest of us that are not at that level of meditating while waking at all times, it's super handy to have the spray. So you go to clearingandprotectionspray.com. Okay, and you get it free. And I'm just going to play it for you in the background. I don't know whether you're going to be able to hear this, but it's got some really nice music in the background. The music doesn't do the work. It's the energies that infuse into the music that does the work. So what you do is you get a spray bottle and you put water in it. Okay. See, it's my big one. It's my little one. Okay. Anyway, this is a little loud, so I'm going to turn it off, but or turn it down, actually. Turn down the music a little bit. Okay. I know when the little kids see the video, what happens is that you play the video, the energies are infused through the video, and with your attention, you send your attention to the water that you are wanting to charge with the frequencies in the video. Now, this Clear and Protection Spray formula is infused with approximately 10 beneficial energies. Now, I have other products that are for purchase that have hundreds of energies, but this is 10 very strong beneficial energies, which helps to balance your energy field, get rid of negative energy, even helps to clear ghosts and demons. So, strong stuff. And it happens in seconds. So, all you do is you play the music, okay, or play the MP3, or MP4 rather, and you focus your attention on the water just for a few seconds, and then the energies know where to go. So you're giving an order, basically. You're commanding the energies to be there. And it works about 9 seconds. Now, the video is 3 minutes. It's nice music. You can just keep playing it. So it doesn't matter how big, the spray bottle is. Now, this one is really cool, except that the spray that comes out is kind of fat droplets. So if you really want to make your kids wet, and you can have a lot of fun doing water fights, you can use this big bottle. Got this on Amazon. Now, this one is a much finer spray. Okay, and you can get these on Amazon as well. This is glass. One of the things that I tend to do is when the water has a little bit of like Himalayan crystal salt in it, like a nice quality salt, like Himalayan crystal salt, that crystal helps to hold the frequency in the water even stronger. Now, you don't have to keep charging it over and over again, just charge it once. However, water has memory. So I think it's a habit from my old days of understanding salt and water. I like to put a tiny little pinch of, Himalayan crystal sea salt just to hold the frequency. And then, after the 9 seconds, it's all charged up. I'm going to take my glasses off because I did this one time without doing that. Yeah, couldn't see. So you just, spray yourself. If you know where your chakras are, you can spray your chakra. You can spray your energy field. And we use the big one for rooms and people if you want to get them wet. Okay, because it's a lot of fun. So sometimes people will carry it in their purse. I actually bring one, although I bring an empty bottle with me when I travel, and then I just charge it at my destination. So that way it can start to clear low vibrational energies, especially those that are in your field that you have to deal with. Maybe it's yours, maybe it's not yours. A lot of people through the coronavirus pandemic are feeling other people's stuff. They're feeling negative energies from mass consciousness, from the fear around the world. They can actually feel this. A lot of you are very intuitive and telepathic, and you can feel it even if you don't know you're doing it. That's like your superpowers, your gifts. So this way, we highly suggest that you do this at least once a day, and especially if you have been, outside your house. For your home, we suggest you do it once a week, depending on how dirty your home is. And I don't mean physically dirty, I mean energetically dirty. So if you have a lot of electronic equipment all the place, you have Wi-Fi, you've got 5 kids with Wi-Fi and computers and stuff like that, it's energetically dirty. If you've got, a curmudgeon-y, husband or wife that drinks all the time, it's probably got negative energy in the space. You want to clear it as well. You might have some ghosts too. So this puts like a nice little force field, an energetic force field, a spiritual force field in the home. Now, of course, it doesn't work underneath the surface of the earth, but of course it works in the house. And then you can spray your bedroom before you go to bed. And there's so many people have written to me and said, "Oh, I have such better sleep thanks to your spray. My child doesn't have nightmares anymore. My child used to see a monster in the closet. It's gone. We sprayed the closet." All sorts of stories. So that's an easy one, and it's free. So just check it out. It's at clearingandprotectionspray.com. And you can get that free. So that's number 3 of the 4 things we're going to talk today about how you can release some of the symptoms of anxiety. Now, the The fourth thing is actually a really nice tool. It is a phototherapy patch. Now this one is not free, but are amazingly of great value for how little it costs to get these. So anxiety symptoms are the same as stress symptoms. And the the YH Eon patches here, there we go. I don't know if you can see that. There we go. That is super, super helpful for those symptoms, to balance the nervous system, because that's what the anxiety symptoms are manifesting, is through the nervous system. So if you use the Eon patch to help with those symptoms, that stress symptom, all right, there's a couple different protocols you can use, and I'm going to show you the big guns here. I'm going to show you the one that I use if someone has severe, well, I have two protocols for you. So this one is known for stress. Okay, so Eon is known for stress and inflammation, by the way, and inflammation underlies almost all illnesses, so it's really good to address bad inflammation, and Eon is really helpful for that. So you can use what's called my brain balancing protocol. So what you're going to do is take one of these patches, and there's multiple points that you can use on the head or brain or near the head or brain that will help to balance your nervous system very quickly. This is a protocol that's not corporately induced. Induced. It is not a corporate approved or tested protocol, but thousands of people have used it to a great degree. They love it. So this is a Dr. Karen protocol. Anyway, so one of the best places that you can put this where it's out of sight is behind the right ear. So I have mine today here. Yeah, so I'm losing my English a little bit right now because we just went through this big, huge Schumann resonance peak, and it's still happening from this global meditation we did on Saturday night. And since then, I've been really overly relaxed. Like the Schumann resonance is like, woo, I'm healing. Anyway, so it's a little hard to pay attention at the moment. So Eon patch behind the right ear. The other points you could use, top of the head. Okay, that's I like to call it the happy point. Governor Vessel 20. So if you're kind of like, put it here. But if you're anxious, I wouldn't put it there because, I don't know. Too much energy in that. So if you're anxious, I would probably put it behind the right ear. Okay? For those types of symptoms. We're not treating anxiety. We're not treating a disease. We're just treating the symptom. So the other thing you can do, this is a more advanced protocol, but super easy. You would put one behind the ear and use a second Eon patch on your belly button. Okay, so let me show you where that is. Well, sort of. You're going to put it right over, I'm not that tall. Okay, so you put it right over the hole, the belly button hole. So you can stick it to your underwear, but you want to get it as close to the belly button hole as possible. That is acupuncture point CV8, conception vessel 8. So again, one behind the ear, the second one right over the belly button point. Make sure you drink lots of water. Okay, because they work best when you are well hydrated. And that was so helpful for many, many people. So if just the one does not work as, perfectly, then just put the second one on the belly button. And so that's one option. The other phototherapy option is using silent nights. So this is originally made for sleep. Now, what happens is when you wear this and you are sleeping in the dark, it helps you make melatonin. That you probably heard of melatonin. Melatonin helps with deep sleep. Now, during the daytime, because it's light out, you probably won't make melatonin. But because serotonin and melatonin are on the same pathway of being made in the body, the biochemical pathway, then it may be very possible that the reason why this works so well for some of these symptoms is because you may be getting improved serotonin. So you can do the exact same thing with this one. So you can try the Eons first, right? And if you don't like that or you don't have them, you can try silent nights. And so instead of using them at night when you're sleeping, you would use them during the day. Again, same thing. Behind the right ear. Remember, it's the right ear. Okay, right ear. This is my right side. So behind the right ear, and on the belly button. So that's an advanced protocol. You can use either one. You can even try a combo if you'd like. So you can put an Eon and a silent nights, one of each. Okay, it doesn't matter which point you use. Just try them both. See which one you like. If you want silent nights on this one, Eon on this one, silent nights on the belly button, or vice versa. Okay. So the nice thing about phototherapy is that that signal lasts the whole 12 hours, as long as you're hydrated, lasts the whole 12 hours. So you're getting like this mini treatment for those stress symptoms for a whole 12 hours during the day. Because I don't know about you, but I don't think most people are going to tap all day long, right? I mean, maybe it'll get rid of it and you're done, but if it comes up again, then you're tapping again, and then you're tapping again, you're tapping again. And same thing with the spray. It's awesome, and I think you should spray, okay? If it were me, I would highly recommend you spray at least once a day. But the nice thing is that you put this on and you kind of forget about it, which is nice. Yeah. So I'm a big fan of these phototherapy patches. So those are your 4 ways of helping with the symptoms of anxiety, fear, and overwhelm that are natural, drug-free, and don't involve, sharp objects, don't involve pills or things like that. And 3 out of the 4 are completely free, easy to use. And so check it out. So let me review again. So we initially talked about the drugs and medication that we used in Western medicine, the downsides of it, and just making sure that people know they shouldn't stop their medication suddenly without talking to the doctor, but they probably should check their liver and kidneys from time to time. With labs. So number 1, drug-free method, tapping, right? EFT tapping. And number 2, you can do the stillness through observing internal movement, and you can combine the 2, tapping and that. Okay, is really good. This looks like a gun. Okay, let's do it this way. Okay, and then third way you can do is the clearing spray, right? So you got your clearing and protection spray formula. That's free at clearingandprotectionspray.com. And number 4, you've got the wonderful and amazing phototherapy patches that help you with those symptoms. And remember to drink lots of water. So I hope this has been helpful for you. If it has, please share it with people that you think are like-minded, open, that are interested in non-drug ways to feel better. And I wish you so well, and I wish you lots of health and ongoing wellness throughout this entire pandemic. And by the way, in case you want to connect with me a little closer, I do have a Facebook group. It's for highly sensitive people who are wanting support around, being healthy and happy in a holistic way. So it's called the Light Warrior Network. You can join us there and apply to be part of that private group. It's free to join. And we have a lot of resources there. We do, for example, actually tomorrow we're doing a mini healing. So we're actually doing energy healing there that I will be hosting that tomorrow. So you can join us there. And we actually have on there posted my masterclass called Infection Resilience, where we talk about energy medicine, how that works, how energy can help support the body's own self-healing mechanisms. And that is going to be up all week on the Light Warrior Network. So if you have not checked that out, you can definitely go to that closed group, the Light Warrior Network, and it's just pinned as an announcement. So you can check that out there. So thanks so much, everyone. I'm just going to say hi before we go. I know there's a lot of people that were listening today and didn't get to say hi to everybody yet. So, all right. So, hey, also I got Linda, Lena, Susan, Teresa, Leanne, hey, Yvonne, Michelle, Gordon, the other Michelle, Bill. Hey, Bill, I haven't seen you in a while. Thank you, Tanya. She wrote the website for the EFT, EMO Free. The one I know is EFT Universe. They're both good. Hey, Colleen, Jill, Amy, Kathleen. I know you're not Madge. I'm not going to call you Madge so people know that I did include you. Rhonda, Wendy, hi. Robert, hey. And Robert Stashko, I have to say, great thanks to him, because he's the one, without his teaching around how to do neurological brain balance testing in person. Now I can do it remotely, but in person, we wouldn't have the brain balancing protocol. Okay, so send a lot of love to Dr. Robert Stashko, because I learned that from him. Brain neurology testing, awesome, great revelation. Hey, Marion, Dave, Matt, Lisa, Mariko, Martin, Stephen, Miriam, hey, Megan, Bonnie, Diana, Debbie, Glow, Happy Pill, she said, Lewis, Jamie, Carrie, Katie, Deborah, Keith, Kelly, Melissa, Tasha, Will, hey Will, Amy, Karen, Kathleen, Catherine. Okay, great. I said hi to everybody. So again, if you like this, please pass it on. Thanks so much and have a great night. Bye for now.